Hi guys, Keelan O'Connor here from Goulburn River Valley Tourism, and in this quick video I wanted to walk you through how you can create an ATDW event listing. Not only is it free, not only is it fairly quick and easy to do, but most importantly, listing your events on the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse helps get your event not only on our websites, not only on most local councils' websites, not only on Visit Victoria, which had about 9 million views last calendar year, but also in the rest of the ATDW distribution network, which has about 350 other websites, tourism-based websites across Australia and the world who are showcasing events, attractions, operators, and the entire gamut of the tourism industry. It's a fantastic platform that you need to be listing your event on. So if you haven't listed your event previously, or if you'd like a quick refresher, watch as we walk you through the process right here. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to the Australian Tourism Data website, Australian Tourism Data Warehouse website, which is found at atdw.com.au. If you've never come here before, you're going to need to come across and click Register Now. And you're going to choose whether or not you are a tourism operator who is creating a listing, or whether or not you're a website developer who is trying to showcase or distribute listings in other ways. So in this case, you're going to click on a tourism operator, and you'll follow the prompts through there. That'll ask you for some information, for some contact information for you or the organisation or company that you're working for, an ABN so they can check your charitable status because you might qualify for free operator listings if you are a not-for-profit or other things like that. But just remember that any time that you are listing an event on the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, that listing is always going to be for free. So I already have a listing, so I'm just going to tag out of that and click Login and use the username and password, which if you've already registered previously, ATDW will give you. And you're going to be fronted with an interface or a portal that looks like this. It might already have other listings in there, it might not. Down the left-hand side is the opportunity for you to change your account information, which if you've just registered, you just put in there. The ability for you to check the statistics of some of your other listings already on the website. So they include things like how many views that particular listing has had, where it's being distributed, and other important bits of information like that. Or you're going to be able to see the entire list of listings here itself. We're going to come across now to add new listing on the right hand side. As I said, I'm going to show you, I'm going to upload a real listing as we go. So in this case, it is going to be for the ATDW event training workshop that we'll be running in Kilmore. So that is going to be, in this case, an event. As we said before, you can use ATDW to list other kinds of tourism services, but in this case, it's going to be an event. And that starts a process with 9 mandatory steps. Some of these steps are mandatory, some of them are optional, which we'll get to further on down the track. But the interface you'll find is actually fairly easy to use. There's a bunch of blocks that you just type information into. Some of them are listed as required in this nice orange text over here, and they won't let you proceed unless you've got those particular fields filled in. And you'll find on the right hand side there is some advice, some hints, some tips, or some other instructions about the best way to go and fill these out. So I'll let you read those as we go. I find it easiest to pre-write all my information just in a Word document beforehand, so I can go and copy and paste it in. So in this case, the event title is Event Management Training, and you'll see it goes through and saves this information as you go. The event description needs to be less than 200 words or more than 25. Goulburn River Valley Tourism's ABN will pop in. It needs to go in with no spaces. You can check and it saves that. And if your business is known by, or organisation is known by an alternate name, then you tick that as well. In this case, we get 9 different kinds of events that you could be listing. It could be a market, it could be a community event, it could be some kind of exhibition or show, or a food and wine event. In this case, I'm going to click classes, lessons, workshops, and talks, which this one is. And come down the bottom and click next steps. At this point, we need to provide some location information about our event. So this particular event will be held in the John Taylor Room at the Coolmore Library. It's at 12 Sydney Street, Coolmore. And after a little while, it'll pull that information up directly for you and pre-fill as much other information as it can. The other part you need to do here is make sure that the pin is in the right location, because the pin will show on other on some instances that this event listing is listed. So yes, I can see this is actually in fact in the correct spot. If you need to, you can move that around if it's for some reason not in exactly the right spot, or if you have a larger property, that pin might have been dropped at the front of the driveway, so you might need to move that to a particular location at the winery or something else like that that event is being held. Click on next steps. You need to pop in a phone number in case anyone wants to contact you about the event, and you need to add an email address that event is linked to as well. If there is a URL, if there's some kind of website attached to the event, then this is a great place to put this here. It is a required field. If there is also a booking URL, so maybe you're using Eventbrite or TryBooking or some other kind of online ticketing vehicle, or maybe there is a particular page on your website that you accept online bookings, then this is a great place to put this, because it means that when the event is listed, sometimes there is a book now button which will go directly through to that particular URL. In this case, I'll leave that blank. Then we come up to frequency. So how often does this event occur? Is it an annual event? Is it a weekly event? Is it a once only event? We're going to be able to apply different schedules of events in just a moment, but in this case I'm going to click once only. If you clicked on some of the others, it would it'll prompt you through a very slightly different process in the schedule. But the schedule is basically where we get to here, where we apply different patterns. In this case, as I said, it's a once only event, and it's actually on today from 4 till 7 p.m. Just remember that's 24-hour time in here, and it ends on the same day. If this was a multi-day event, like an entire weekend event, then your start date and your end date would be on a different date. And then once that's done, just click apply. If this is a if this is an event that has multiple dates in that are not consecutive, you can apply multiple patterns here. So you can basically turn around and say that the first part of this event is on this date, the second part of the event is on another date over here, and the third part of the event is on another date. So sometimes there are it might be like a 3-part workshop or something which you're running, which has workshops every 10 days or something else like that. So that's being able to apply a different pattern here is important. Or if you're running some events, some things like markets and other things like that, which are on slightly different events, slightly different dates throughout the year, that's a great way of being able to apply that as well, if it's not just an ordinary rollover 4th Sunday of the month kind of event. So click on next step. This question here, has this event been confirmed, is important. This is the guidance over here on the right is asking whether or not your event is something that's aspirationally going to happen, which you can definitely put into the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, or whether or not this is the kind of event that already has the appropriate licenses and permits from council and is ready to go. So in this case, this one has, but you can use your own judgment for that one. Now, this is the one step that people get a little bit hung up in from time to time, and this is that every listing, be it an event or an attraction or a restaurant or something else like that, needs a photo inside of the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. Now, those photos have to be of a relatively high resolution, so that they appear really well on newer high resolution devices like newer iPads or newer tablets or larger screens and all sorts of other things. So if you have a photo of an event that was taken on a mobile phone several years ago, or if it's something that's been, if you've got a really small thumbnail, it might not work so well here. There are some instructions, and the instructions are that the photo needs to be a minimum of 248 pixels by 1536 pixels. So it's a relatively high resolution photo. There's a couple of different ways that you can generate photos like that, but in essence, any newer phone that takes a photo at an event will have a photo of an appropriate resolution. The photos can't be super large either. They do need to be a maximum of 10 meg, and you can upload up to 10 different photos into here. One thing it will ask on the way through is for you to identify the order of those photos, or at least the very first photo, which will be used as a hero photo in all cases. Now you can click and just upload a photo from a thumb drive or from your hard drive or something like that, or you can just drag a photo in, which I'm going to do now, and just drop it in place. It asks for some more information, which is really important. One of them is a caption, because these captions are used in some instances that your photos are displayed. And it asks for some alt text. Now, alt text is information that isn't normally seen for an image, but sits in the background as some metadata about an image. It's actually really important as far as website accessibility. So if you have someone who is visually impaired and they're using a screen reader to view, in this case, event listings, then screen readers will usually go and dictate the alt text of an image. So it's important to make that nice and descriptive. If you need to attribute the copyright or who took the photo, then you can do that in this instance, and then just click Save Photo. Now, as I said, you can upload up to 10 different images into the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse for each listing. I'll only be uploading one in this location, in this instance, but as I said, you can upload multiple if you wish. And you do that by just dragging another photo up here and going through the same process again. As I said, once you've got multiple in here, you can reorder them, and you can mark which one is a preferred photo. I'll click Next Step. If you have someplace online where you have a video about your event, you can do that in here. And by the way, we are now out of the required steps and into the optional steps. So we've finished the 9 required steps. You can see them; they've all got ticks here on the left-hand side, and there are several sections down here which are optional. At any point from here forward, you can click this big orange button, I should say, on the top right that says Send for Review. But we'll just walk through the rest of them really quickly. So one of them is a video, I should say. One of them is whether or not there are ticket prices. So I'm going to specifically say this event is free. One question asks about whether or not you have Wi-Fi or other kinds of internet available at that particular event. This one here asks whether or not you have specific facilities which are available at a particular event. So if you're running a large event that has a bar, you could pop that in here. If you're anyway, all of them are fairly straightforward. I'll pop conference and convention facilities in here. As far as accessibility goes, there are several different comments that you can make about the accessibility of your event. So the ability for people who are possibly mobility impaired or visually impaired to be able to enjoy your event. I'll just click Disabled Access Available, contact the operator. Whether or not your event is part of a larger membership, you can pop those in here, and there are already a series of other membership or accreditation groups, so you can choose throughout that process, and accreditation through there. And then lastly, the opportunity for you to add your social channels if you would like to add that to your event as well. I'll take that off and I'll click Next Step. After you've done that, it will bring back a summary of the event information that you have loaded into the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. It's really important you spend just a moment going through and rechecking that all this information is correct. And then once that's done, click Send for Review. So then you'll receive a confirmation screen that looks like this, and it says your listing has been sent for review. Now, just to unpack what that means that your event will now be highlighted at Visit Victoria, the digital team at Visit Victoria. Now, their role is for quality assurance before all events are properly listed inside the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse and available nationally. Now, Visit Victoria look for a couple of different things when they see this listing. They will look to make sure that all of the required bits of information have actually been put in there. So they'll go through and things like double check the address. If you put an address that couldn't be found in there, they will just double check that and make sure the address looks correct and you haven't you're not accidentally listing something in Queensland or Northern Territory or something else like that. They'll also make sure that the image that you put in there meets the guidelines required, that it's not too blurry, it's a nice quality image, and they'll go through and check the other information as well. Visit Victoria also have a responsibility to make sure that the events that are up there are appropriate. So if you've got something that that's a little bit conflicting or provocative, I guess, in nature, then Visit Victoria might come back and ask you just to go and review that listing. But apart from that, that normally takes 2 or 3 business days for them just to go through and have a look at that and finalise that listing. That is then approved. It heads up into the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, and from there, all of those other distribution channels, other websites such as our website, such as your local council's website, such as Visit Victoria, etc., which are taking a feed from the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, that event will be available to those guys to automatically populate onto their website. So after you've listed here, it can take 3, maybe 4 days or so for the event to start appearing on a series of other websites around Australia. Hey, welcome back. In short, that's as hard and as easy as it is to list an event on the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. As mentioned, once you list your event there, it not only appears on our website, heartofvictoria.com.au, it also appears on most council websites, as well as Visit Victoria, Australia.com, and a whole range of other distributors across the rest of Australia. So I hope that really helps. As you can see, listing an event on the ATDW is actually fairly easy, and I look forward to seeing more of your events listed online soon. We'll chat soon. Cheerio.